Hi everyone, and welcome to the CS Show. CS stands not only for customer success, but also for content secrets. This podcast explores the content secrets of customer success leaders.
We put the spotlights on content innovation and bring you the inside look at some of the most exciting moves made by customer success teams and leaders to address growth and scale through content.
We are your co hosts. I'm Dina.
And I'm Guy. And in today's episode, we welcome Or Guz, VP of Customer Success at Velocity. Or was voted one of the top 25 customer success influencer, and he's an industry thought leader with an impressive track record of building and leading customer success teams. I had the privilege to have very interesting chats with Or in the past, and I'm sure today's episode will be insightful for us and for our audience. And today we will chat about a prioritization of content topics, the collaboration with other teams to create content, and we'll leave some time for our favorite topics these days, AI and automation.
Let's get started. Hi all.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. To start with, tell us a bit about your background and experience as a customer success leader and about your current role.
Sounds good. First of all, it's a pleasure being here today. Thanks for inviting me. And just to quickly introduce myself, as you mentioned, my name is Or Guz. I'm a CS leader and advisor. Current role at Velocity as the VP of Customer Success. I'm in charge of pre-sales moving forward for every customer-facing function. On my first half of my career, I was actually more on the technical side of things, very hands-on. And second half of my career, various CS leadership roles in different stages of companies and different stages of CS organizations, from bootstrap to scale. And yeah, as I said, today on at Velocity, more for the bottom-up approach, the more tech touch type of customer success. And that's a little bit about myself.
Sounds amazing. So, what does Velocity do and who are your customers?
Yeah, so the bottom line is that Velocity is here to help developers uh, increase their development velocity, to help developers develop faster, and doing that by letting them and enabling them to work better in front of remote Kubernetes environments in their day-to-day development.
Nice. With regards to content development, one of the challenges that we have in CS, and I think generally, is in which content or pieces of content we choose and subsequently produce for our customers.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with us some best practices for identifying those topics or areas and which content eventually to create?
For sure. So first of all, it really depends on how you interact with your customers. I've been to different types of organizations. So if I want to separate it to two different approaches, one is more high touch and the other is more low touch. For the high touch, if you have feedback sessions with customers, business reviews, and so forth, you can leverage that to hear where are the pains, what type of content they're looking to get from you, to understand the value better, to understand how to use the product better. But more on the low touch side, you can use surveys. And one tool that I really like and proven to be efficient in a way is to analyze your customer support tickets. I actually have an example from a real life example from a company I work with, and I'll share a slide in momentarily, but I will just mention that the numbers are fake. So that's an example of a support ticket analysis. The rules of thumb here, or some best practices here, is to be able to structure your data in a meaningful way so you can create such an analysis. And what you see over here at the bottom is something that is critical for identifying areas for content creation. You have the number of tickets per category or issue type or areas where customers face friction. So if you do that part really well by structuring your data and making sure you fill the fields that you have for the support tickets, you can end a week and a month and a quarter, a year, and you can go back and see where users struggle the most. You can even see things like what are the tier one type of tickets that are usually low-hanging fruits for content creation, for example, if you want to help customers with guides, or if you see that tickets lead to upsells and cross sales, you can double down on that for marketing materials, for driving expansions and cross sales. So that's one of the examples of the tools that I've been working with and worked well for me.
Just one question about that, since we all love a collaboration with other teams. Was it more of a CS initiative, support initiative, both? And also, I assume you guys had to be very, let's say, punctual about classifying the tickets correctly.
Yeah, so it was definitely a CS initiative. Even for ourselves, before thinking about content, we had to know where we have the most friction for support, for knowledge-based articles, for the voice of the customer program in front of product. So we wanted to have this type of visibility anyways, but we were able to leverage that for content creation as well.
Great. If we talk about collaboration, then one more, I'd say, interesting collaboration type is with between the customer success and the marketing teams to create content. That worked well for me in the past, and I'm interested to know if you can share example with us, whether this content only addressed, let's say, existing customers, or at the same time, it was also meant to attract potential new customers.
Yeah. So I would say a bit of both. Some content that was created was aimed to bring value to existing customers in one way or another, but the best type of content is when you can hit two birds with one stone. And I'll give you a few examples. So, it's pretty standard to work on case studies with marketing. CS can find opportunities for case studies while pooling marketing, so you can collaborate with marketing on creating the actual content, putting a champion of a customer that sees the value in front of a marketing professional, and setting the ground for a successful case study. I would say another piece of content that is useful is when your company releases a new product, and it happened to me in the past. So it's relevant both for existing customers and new logos as well. You can go to your existing customers and tell them, here is a piece of content that will tell you about the benefits of a new product we just released, but you can also use that with new logos and leads. So that's two birds with one stone. And the last type of content, we're on a podcast or webinar, so webinars where CS are the experts in the organization, ideally, when it comes to value realization, and marketing know how to market that. So if you can put the teams together and create content about it, that can be great.
Thank you.
So let's take the content one step further and talk about personalization. So personalization of the content can have a big impact on the target audiences. Do you have any experience with this?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we'll talk about the impact further down the road when we talk about how to measure it. But when I think about personalization, I would say there are different ways to do that. You can segment your customers or users using different fields or angles. And a few examples that worked for me, segmenting based on different industries. Different industries may care about different features of the product or different products as a whole, different personas. It's possible that the buyer is a C-level executive who cares about revenue-driven metrics, while the practitioners are in the weeds and they care about their quality of life type of features. So it's important to be able to push the right features and products and content in front of the right personas. Sometimes it's interesting to do it based on the expected value that the persona or the company have from your product. Their tech stack. Let's say you release a new integration with a popular CRM, but if they don't use the CRM, they won't care about it, and they will likely just click ignore or unsubscribe or something like that you don't want to see happening. So it's when the tech stack comes up, it's really important to be able to address or to push the right content in front of the customers based on their tech stack. And the last but not least, and I think it's even the most important one, is the customer journey. During the onboarding, you may want to push onboarding related content that will help the customer achieve the initial value versus the ongoing that might be about different topics as a whole. Maybe the customer isn't using a specific feature, so you can push the right content about this specific feature. If a company already realized the value, you can focus on up and cross-sell opportunities, content about new products or how to expand the usage. But if the value isn't even realized, let's make sure we push the content that will help the customer complete the integration or start using the product. So that's more for the customer journey portion of the personalization.
So you actually create different content for different segments of the audiences. I mean, you can deliver the same content, but in different ways or different focuses based on the segment, the persona, the industry, and so on.
Yeah, either the same content, different channels, or different content, the same channels. You can be creative with it.
Yeah. And how do you measure the effectiveness of the content?
That's a good question, and it's an important one because you need to know which needle you're trying to move. I would always start as an executive with dollar related metrics. This is what the board cares about. This is what the C-suite cares about. So when it comes to customer success, I would always focus on retention, churn rates, even referrals from your customers. But that's as the North Star. But to get there, sometimes it's useful to just measure other things as well, like content consumption, how many clicks, how many downloads, how much time spent you had on each content that you created for different logos and different personas, conversion rates. Usually, and I think it's a good best practice, you try to have a clear call to action for every piece of content. So measure the conversion to the call to action. If the call to action is to sign up for something or just scheduling a demo or using a new feature, check the conversion between the content and the call to action. And last but not least, feedback about the content created. You can ask for it. You can see the support tickets trends. I showed you the analysis. You can see the changes in analysis over time based on the content that you create. If you aim to change something on a specific topic, you can measure it over time.
Interesting.
It seems like the collaboration with marketing worked very well as you introduced the call to action as one of the main principles for content effectiveness. So I like it. One question, as you shared with us the support statistics, would you say that maybe measuring ticket analysis, which type of tickets possibly was reduced following creating more content, would that be another measurement for us?
Yeah, two examples there. One, if there was one area of friction, let's say a specific widget that people didn't understand how to use well, and then over time you see that you created content for this widget and the number of tickets reduced, that's a good example. And another one is to measure the tier one support tickets on an area, because I guess sometimes it's hard to lower the number of tier four escalations, but the low hanging fruits I talked about are usually the tier one, and you can measure the numbers there and how it decreased over time based on the content that you create.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Thank you. We cannot record podcasts these days without referring to an AI and automation in customer success. We spoke about it before in multiple episodes, but we'll be very happy to do it with you as well. Many CSMs already deal with automation and may ask themselves how to leverage AI as well. While automation in customer success has been practiced for a few years already, will it converge from your perspective with AI initiatives at some stage in the future? Or maybe run in parallel?
So the short answer is yes, but I guess you want to know the
A
details.
little bit
And
more.
Okay, so I tried to break it down into three areas of potential for AI to converge with customer success. CS leaders, in many cases, and I hope that's the case for all CS executives, they own the retention and they need to be able to provide a forecast for that critical metric for the company. So I think that there is a huge opportunity for AI to help with forecasting retention changes in the future. And when I say retention, it can be gross retention or net retention. And even if you take it one level beneath that, it's the health scoring that will impact retention. So whether it's health scoring or the actual retention metrics, if you have enough data points in your system, I think there is a huge opportunity for AI to help over there. That's one. Another area is automated customer support or answering customers in an automated or semi-automated way. We have many companies have vast knowledge bases and a huge database of past support tickets. If you can harvest that and crunch that using AI in order to provide answers to your customers and have less human hours spent on answering support tickets, I think that can be huge, even if the first step is semi-automated. Just suggesting the human agent an answer to provide, I think that might be the first step over there. And number three here is a little bit more challenging, and I think it's related to the product maturity as well. But if you can create an AI personalized customer journey, I think that can be really interesting as well. I guess every person and company can have a different customer journey based on where they are, and it's not going to be a very high level. It's going to be very tailored, very specific. I think that's pretty interesting as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and we can just imagine what the future can bring us in this area. But are there specific companies that is most suitable for them? Maybe other companies will see challenges with using AI in the near future.
Yeah. So I believe that companies that have a lot of public content will have less friction in the beginning to start using AI because the content, the input for the models is already out there, and there is no problem just pushing it into an engine and getting value out of it. That's for the first part of the question. But if you read between the line, I'm saying that if you don't have public knowledge like code or knowledge base, and everything is very internal and private and sensitive, including conversations with your customers or support tickets or any potential input for AI modules, I would say here you may face a compliance type of friction because it's always hard to say, okay, I'm allowing a third party to digest my personal, not personal, but private information or customer specific interactions. And there, yeah, I saw some people struggling with that, including myself.
So what you're actually saying is that security and data privacy are main concerns here in using AI in customer
Yeah,
success.
yeah, I would put it under data privacy. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I would also believe, and I think I mentioned it all before, that in many cases you might be able have to put some contractual obligations about what you cannot do with customer data. Definitely with enterprise customers, and I think that will be another challenge for customer success in the future. Before we conclude, we usually like to ask our guests about some fun fact or interesting story that they have from their customer success journey and experience. Could be related to content or to something else. Interesting or interested to hear your story.
So I would. tell a story. It's not with Velocity, it's from a previous company, but when we created CS pushed for a specific type of content to be created. The content was about the new product that we released, and I briefly talked about it earlier today. We really worked and asked marketing to collaborate with us for the existing customers. So we created a one pager about a new product, and we drove this initiative and the messaging about it and everything. But eventually, this piece of content became viral, and new logos, okay, actually sales and marketing pushed it in front of new logos, and the traction was really positive, and we started getting new deals based on content that was initially created for the existing customers, and we started seeing just new deals coming in front of us because of the content that was originally created for existing customers. So you never know how content may end up, who is going to get value from it, whether it's people outside your company or eventually the revenue of the ARR of the company you work for.
Awesome. So, Or,
Mhm.
thank you so much for sharing your experience and for this amazing conversation. It was great talking with you, and we really enjoyed having you with us.
Thank you
It
very
was,
much, Joe.
yeah, it was my pleasure, Guy, Dina. I'll keep on watching and hearing your content. Yeah, that's also one type of content. And once again, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, what caught me the most in what Or said was the segmentation aspect, how he segments his audience, his users, the customers, in order to create different content that would fit any segment. So he was talking about four X's. The first was industries. He segmented his audience by industries because different industries can be interested in different features or different aspects of the product. The second one was personas, whether it is a buyer or a user. They see the product differently.
Yeah, we called it
What
practitioner, executive or
Yeah,
sponsor, and then the practitioner.
yeah, that's right. So whether they're interested in the budget or in using the product.
Yeah, he said the quality of life or quality of doing whatever they need to do.
That's right. The third one was expected value, which was interesting because different personas can be interested in different tech stacks. And the last one was the customer journey. It's not the same for someone who is onboarding or someone who is already using the product in the ongoing. So they will be interested in different contents. So he actually creates a lot of content which is relevant for different personas, different segments of audiences. And this way he can personalize it and be sure that he's relevant for each one of his customers.
True. I was very much interested in the how to measure the usage of content or the consumption of content. All started with let's say the more strategic approach of tying the metrics to revenue, ARR, NRR, retention, which I think is very interesting and also depends on the type of customers you have. I can only imagine if in Velocity or other tech touch companies who have maybe hundreds or thousands of small customers or small teams that consume their product or service, and they need to provide them a lot of, let's say, supporting content and material, and they can then somehow correlate between the content consumption and the customer adoption, retention, and growth as well. The other two aspects that I liked about Or's response was the collaboration with marketing and the fact that he kind of tried to create a call for action for either piece of content, whatever it is, to download something, to register for something, to attend a webinar, to download a certain report. I think this is definitely a good way, an effective way to measure. and also with regards to ticketing statistics and the fact that he can retrospectively look at the ticketing statistics and see if a certain piece of content that was created, as he mentioned, the low-hanging fruits or the tier one tickets, and try to reduce them in certain areas or in certain customers and see the impact as well. So all of these together, both on the tactical level or on the more strategic level, are very interesting and I think very useful.
Yeah, that's right. And it was also interesting to talk about the AI aspects of customer success and how AI can converge with customer success. And it's basically it's a process because we start with few things and then we have the vision of what can happen with that in the future.
I already actually mentioned three different forecasts of what may happen in the future. The first one was actually about forecasting retention or growth with customers, which I think is very relevant and likely to happen sooner rather than later for companies such as Velocity or other long tail customers with vendors with long tail customers. Automating support tickets is something that we all know happens today more and more, and likely to uh, uh, to be maybe the kind of a de facto standard in support and customer success. The interesting part about how to personalize customer journey based on profiling, on other information, historical data, and kind of adjusting certain milestone in the journey or certain achievements and deliverables to what the customer actually needs based on so many specifications or factors. That's definitely something that fascinates me. And I believe it will happen at some stage with the progress of technology and how we as customer success team are able to leverage it.
Yeah, and I think one of the major challenges are compliance because there's the think of security and data privacy that companies they can't just give third party access to their data. So this is something that we'll have to consider and see how we can make it happen while still being in compliance with
Yeah,
all those things.
it's something that I don't know if to call it the dark side of the AI, but who knows? At some stage, maybe this will happen as well. But hopefully not in a bad way, but just to make sure that we are protecting data properly, as companies are obliged to do that today anyway. But maybe the benefits will be so great for everyone that this will not be eventually an issue.
Yeah, I think, as we said, it's a process and it will evolve, and we'll see what happens.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's right. So, thanks, Guy, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and please share it with your colleagues and stay tuned for our next episode. See you next time.
See you next time.